What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's special live with Braden and Abby from Titanium University and their wholesale operation called Mr. House. What's going on, guys?
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
What up?
It's been a long time coming. You guys have been with us for about a year now. Well, September is y'all's 1 year anniversary of being in TU, right?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
We were class number 5.
Yeah. Hey, I'm rocking the Fab Five for you guys.
You go.
There we go.
I like it. You guys came branded with the Mr. House. I like it. I don't actually wear this shirt that often, but you guys have forced me to wear it twice now in the past couple of weeks because I thought we were going live like 2 Tuesdays ago. So I wore it on a Tuesday, and y'all were like, "No, dude, we've got a special reason why we got to wait," which we'll get into. But I'm excited to have you guys talk about y'all's journey as to where you are now, where you got started. But I want to go all the way back to the beginning because I know, Braden, you made a post inside of the TU group kind of sharing y'all's journey, how you got to where you are today. So I want to go all the way back to that. So I'll let y'all tag team how y'all want to tell the story. But tell us how y'all got to where y'all are today.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long ride, and it started kind of randomly. I think it was like 2.5 years ago or so. We were struggling to figure out what we wanted to do just with our careers and everything. Abby was, she just got her loan officer license, and as soon as she got her license and, finished the tests and everything, the market kind of crashed. So she was trying to figure it out. I was a recovering addict, so I was trying to figure myself out. And her dad actually invited us to like a 3-day REI event where, we went to it. We kind of just got the rundown of everything. The group that we were in, or we went to, it was all about sub 2. And it wasn't sub 2 specifically, but it was, about buying properties close to foreclosure, knocking pre-foreclosure, stuff like that. And they convinced Abby's dad to buy in on like a $20,000 entry fee through a credit card, something like that. That's how we got started. And honestly, like, we got into it, and probably 4 or 5 months into it, didn't do shit with it. Like, I don't know. That's just how things go sometimes. We didn't do anything with it. And Abby was working a part-time job. She was working at her cousin's, like, was it a
The cabinet shop. I was actually building cabinets and running their big machine that cuts the wood and everything. I'm blanking on the name of it right now, but yeah, it was a part-time thing to keep bills paid and all that good stuff while he, tried to go ahead and start doing this. I needed something to keep things afloat anyways. And so he was, again, like he said, we were kind of bouncing around trying to figure it out. And then we kind of connected with Brian through that group. And he started dabbling and was really like, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to give this a go. Had a couple bullshit part-time jobs and just, again, trying to figure things out and really was like, this can turn our life around.
I was applying for a couple jobs, and I was just like, this isn't for me. Jobs in general, W-2s have never been for me. I grew up doing things that I probably shouldn't say on YouTube, like selling things to make money and whatnot. And so I just never fit into a W-2 lifestyle or anything like that. So when it came down to like, okay, I need to make money, what do I need to do? I started watching the trainings that came with that group. I found a mentor, and the mentor started taking me door knocking. So we were door knocking pre-foreclosures, and it took us like 2.5 months to finally get something under contract. It was funny. The contract that we got, we were in the kitchen of these like 60, 70-year-old meth heads, and they're like down to their bones, just like, it was a very scary sight. And they're tweaking at the kitchen table while we're signing the contract and everything.
They were really down in life.
Yeah, we got the contract signed, and we go outside, and my partner's like, dude, I just want you to know the only fucking reason I got this contract signed is because you were here and you don't have any contract signed. He's like, this isn't going to turn out to anything, yada yada. And 2 months later, we stopped the foreclosure once or twice, and we negotiated a $360,000 IRS lien down to $160,000, and we were able to get a $42,000 wholesale fee out of it. So it went from being like, I'm just signing this because you're here to, okay, now we're cashing big checks. And that's really where it all started. We did a couple more with Brian, and then things kind of just fell apart, but that's where we started.
So real quick, I want to ask you a question there, because there's a lot of people that join TU just in general, getting started in wholesaling. They want that quick cash. They want that quick close. And 2.5 months of door knocking is, I mean, I don't think people really understand what that feels like if you've never door knocked before. But I mean, y'all are in Dallas, Texas. I mean, it's hot. It's humid. You're going around. It's miserable to get the door slammed on you. And you're probably door knocking pre-foreclosure. So these people are upset with you. And how did you find out that I'm in pre-foreclosure? I mean, what was your mindset going through that time of 2.5 months of door knocking with zero return?
That was the middle of summer too. Just reminding you, Braden.
Yeah, it was. It was days filled with a lot of sweat, but I was just like, just like a puppy dog. I was just following Brian along, just like, okay, teach me everything that you know. Please show me everything. And, with every door that we knocked and every couple-minute conversation that we had, I started to grasp a little bit more. Of course, we got a ton of doors, slammed in our face, people coming outside with guns, threatening us, like, get off our fucking lawn and crazy stuff like that. But when we solved these people's problem, it was like, okay, I get it. This is what it's all about. Like, you solve big problems and you get big paychecks. Right. And I mean, it made it all worth it. And it's not like we just, started wholesaling and started calling PPL leads. This got my skin thick. Like, I was going through, the trenches. Most people don't even dial pre-foreclosures, but just doing it made me learn, like, okay, this is real and I can make something out of this for sure.
Yeah. And you were starting out. I mean, y'all were knocking. There were some times I'd get home from work and it would be dark outside. And I was like, y'all are still out. They were running, at least 8 to 12-hour days. I mean, really just trying to make sure they at least had a couple of conversations throughout that time. I mean, it sounds like, and I'm sure this, it sounds like you do it for a couple hours, you get that good conversation, maybe do some follow-ups or get a contract signed. It was, hours and hours trying to get that done.
And I tell everybody, like, the opportunity that exists now with PPL, if you have the ability to do this, it's so much better than what you guys experienced right there, right? I mean, most people just don't have it in them to go 2.5 months, even when it's easy, much less door knocking, like you said, guns waving around, sitting at someone's table, getting a contract signed where, they're obviously an addict. They're, like you said, they're struggling in life. I mean, there's a lot of issues that come along with that, and it's hard during those moments. And then you get it under contract and you face a massive IRS lien, and it's like, how do we solve this? Like, I've never done this. This is my first ever deal.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you guys were able to do that, because obviously it got you hooked on what wholesaling could do. So after that deal, what did you keep door knocking? What was the next transition?
Yeah. So
yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, I mean, it really, seeing that happen, I've always been, Braden's really like the dreamer, he'll really like dive in with both feet, and I'm very careful with things. I like to, I'll do a little at a time and make sure I'm like dipping my toe first. And so, as he did that and he was able to get that first check, I was like, well, let's maximize. How about, I only had about an hour or two of downtime every day. And so I was dealing with some personal stuff. So I was really just trying to focus on, getting my head straight and that kind of thing too. And so, but I did have that time. So I had a couple hours. So I was like, well, let me start cold calling these pre-foreclosure leads. So I started to dive into that at the same time they were doing the door knocking, all the time, and just trying to drum up leads here and there. Again, our partner, Brian, was really helping a lot too, because we only knew so much. So, I'd get him on the hook a little bit, get him so far, and then I'd pass him along over to him or see when he was available to jump on a call. And, we were able to, while he was door knocking, and I think you guys got one or two more door knocking and going that route, I was able to get a couple cold calling pre-foreclosure leads. And I mean, they're pretty much just as brutal as, being there in person. There's just not a gun to be waved in your face, but people throw around some strong words. And so, especially when you're the 10th call of the day. But we were able to find a couple deals that way too. One for a smaller fee of about $5,000. There was another one we had to do a whole lot of work on as well. She lived in Chicago. I ended up having to fly out there to, show up to her house. She lived in a very rural area of Chicago, and like life had just beaten her down. She was all alone. And she just really didn't have the means in order to take care of this problem. So we drove out there, got a rental car, kind of helped her out, drove her to where she needed to go to, get everything to be able to close on the property so that she didn't just lose everything.
Yeah, she needed an ID, and she just, for whatever reason, couldn't get to the DMV herself.
Her car was broke down.
Yeah, Abby literally had to fly out there, get a rental car, go pick her up, bring her to the DMV, get the ID, and then drop her off and fly back in the same day.
Yeah,
that deal was crazy. It
Come
ended
to
up
find out
being,
she was a hoarder. Yeah, it ended up being a lot. She had a lot of stuff at the house that it was one obstacle after the other. It wasn't easy for sure, but that one ended up being about 25 take home that we were able to split with our partner. I mean,
no, that was a 66 that we split.
Oh, okay. 25 was our take home. I'm downplaying it a little bit. No, but yeah, so I mean, it just like it triggered things. I mean, I was like, all right, my head's clear. Let me just 100% send it with you. And so, that was kind of my part as he was doing that. And we were able to then start, really dialing all day, every day, got more into things.
That's crazy. That's a lot better than one of my and Cassie's early stories where we actually drove to Indianapolis in a Fiat through ice to make $1,200 for a day. You guys at least made $25,000.
Yeah.
We made $1,200. That was like one of the first things that we ever did as an entrepreneur. We had people that were like, I'll pay you a day to come consult us on how to do what we did, which was insurance supplements. So $1,200 was like, we need the $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
So will you cover our travel expenses? And they're like, we'll buy you a rental car. So we got the cheapest rental car and drove all the way out there. $45,000, lot better payday. But so you guys had some pretty big rips off the bat there that kind of sustain. Hey, this is serious. Like you said, got your head straight and like, all right, we're going to take this serious. Now, what was the transition from what you were doing there to kind of getting you to where you are now? Because y'all aren't really doing, well, you are, but you're really known as a dispo house, right? Yeah. You're not known as acquisition. So what kind of made that transition?
Yeah, so we knocked out like 5 deals, I want to say, with Brian, and from Abby, from cold calling, and then me door knocking with Brian. And on one of those deals, it was in Houston, so I didn't really have any buyers down there that I talked to from the previous deals. And we're in that REI group I was telling you about. Nico is also in that group. So Nico was like praised upon dispo house in there. We sent the deal to him. He was able to gather some offers, and it just, for whatever reason, the offers didn't work out. But I was noticing like, okay, this is what he does. It's very smart, like a niche. There's not any other person in this group that is doing what he's doing. So after his buyers couldn't do it for whatever reason, I ended up posting that same deal on Facebook and like calling every buyer that I could find, and I found a buyer to perform on it. And I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. If I can make 30% of other people's fees or more, I think there's a business model here that isn't really being touched by many people. And it just so happened at the same time that our relationship with Brian just kind of fizzled out for whatever reason. We're still really good friends with him. It just, things weren't working out the way that everybody wanted to.
Ideas where we wanted to go with things. Yeah.
So that was like May or a little bit before May of last year. So that all went on. And then in May, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be Mr. House. I was like driving through Dallas one day, and there was a sign on the side of the road that said, need a fence, call 1-800-Mr. Fence. And I was like, Mr. Fence, Mr. House, did the numbers on my hand. I was like, oh shit, that's perfect. And I went to the computer, searched it up on the LLC network thing, and nobody had it. So I was like, okay, that's it. So in May, I started blasting myself everywhere on Facebook. I'm Mr. House, 70-30 in your favor. And I was able to get a couple guys like that, got some very rural deals. But at that point, we had the lowest level of investor lift. So it took a shit ton of cold calling and everything like that. But I was able to get a deal, here and there. And that's really just like what started the ball rolling. I could see that there was something there that could work. It just took figuring out your method and your, formula to make it all work correctly.
So funny. Like this morning, I had a one-on-one with Nicolo, and I was telling him, he was talking about, the collaboration that you guys have inside of TU, as well as being just straight competitors.
Yeah.
Inside the group. And I think it's so awesome that you guys have found a way to blend and work inside the group alongside of each other while also competing. I think it's one of the coolest things that we have inside the group. It's great for the group to give options, right? It helps support more of the members. And I told them, I was like, man, I don't know if you know this or not, but Braden and Abby give you a ton of credit for being like the inspiration for what Mr. House is nowadays. And I could see that meant a lot to him. He didn't really, he was like, I've heard that, but it means a lot more like actually knowing that I knew that. Right. And so that's awesome that you guys have found a way. So that's what inspired you to become Mr. House. I believe a couple of months after that, we were at an event in San Antonio, which is so funny. That event was such a small event.
Yeah.
And Cassie and I got invited to it. We were speaking at it. And when we showed up, I don't know, what would you guys say? 40 to 50 people at the
about.
And it was one of those things where it was like, I don't know if this was worth the trip down here and the amount of money that we're spending, to get down here and do this or not. But the conversation that Cassie and I had with Nick and Sema about going to that event was it fuels our spirit to go down there and connect with the people, because we do so much on Zoom and on video that sometimes I just don't get to shake someone's hand and get to meet them. And it was so funny because I know, and I'll let you guys tell y'all's version and y'all's side of this story, but what you don't know and what we've never told you is that leaving that event, I had an entire idea that we were going to do a tour, and I still plan on doing the tour. But it was really based around the interaction that we had with you guys in the parking lot. And there was this couple, they came up, Abby, the conversation that you had with Cassie, and she was just like, this is what we do this for. We do this for that moment right there where someone now is energized and said, we were doing it, but now we have this path and like an inspiration of someone that's done it, and say, we're going to follow in y'all's footsteps to a certain degree. And Cassie was just like, I live for that moment. So as great of a moment as it was for you guys, it was just as great for us, because it's what we live for. And knowing that us going down to that event, and that's what led to you guys joining TU, is one of the best things that we've ever done, because it's led to you guys impacting so many different people. So from y'all's side, what was it that was like, TU's got to be where we are? Because you had already paid for mentorship, right? You already had Mr. House. You were already planning on being a dispo house. What was it about, like, hey, TU's where we got to be?
Yeah, I mean, that thing was all weird. I saw that event probably 2 days before it happened on Facebook, and I saw that Steve was going to be there. Steve, before that, he was on the investor lift, like dispo day call.
Yeah.
So I was always watching that and following him, and me and him had kind of created a little relationship, just texting back and forth about deals and whatnot. So I was like, okay, I got to go down there to meet him. So we decided to go like 2 days before the event. We went down there, and then little do we know, you and Cassie get on stage, and Abby and I were like, that was one of our first events so we were just by ourselves, in a corner, and not really trying to talk to anybody or anything, because the previous events that we've been to were like suit and tie. Everybody is very formal and like doesn't feel like you can shoot the shit with anybody. And so we're just sitting there, and then you guys get on stage, and I don't know if you remember this, but Aaron Bevins was there.
Yeah.
And he was late. And you were like, okay, whenever he walks in the door, I don't remember, I think it was like, everybody say, fuck you, Aaron Bevins, like that. And so that happened, and we were like, this is different. Like,
Yeah.
Kind of cool. And then, you and Cassie just started going back and forth and talking and being real. Like, your personality was real. You were like so, I don't know what the word is, but
personable, yourselves. Yeah. So relatable, honestly. Well, for us especially, we felt that way.
Yeah, like halfway through, Abby looked at me and she was like, they're us. I'm like, yeah, we are.
Because we tend to be very like, we're very blunt, and we're very much not afraid to be ourselves. And we're kind of like, you're going to like us or you're not, but we know we're good people. And so we just kind of are ourselves. And, we had those previous experiences where, we just felt very out of place at those other events and in those other groups. And, it wasn't necessarily our age. It was just kind of more of the personality. And it felt like people were kind of putting on a face. And so it was the complete opposite. And we were like, oh my gosh, like this is, if we could follow in those footsteps, I mean, this could really be where we're at in the next, we didn't know how much older y'all were than us. We were like, it might be like 5 years or so, but so we were like the next, 10, 20 years, like this could put us on that path to be able to really start making this a reality for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. And it's so funny because y'all joined pretty quickly after that, like I said, September of 2024. And I didn't know that y'all joined because, one, y'all mainly interacted with Cassie in the parking lot. I was there kind of, but then I got pulled. There was other people that wanted to talk. Funny enough, Braden, the person I really wanted to talk to at that event was Steve. I didn't know Steve was going to be there, but when I saw Steve, I was talking to him about an issue that we had inside of TU, which was we didn't have any dispo houses. And so I was over there bending his ear saying, why don't you come into TU and you could be the go-to dispo person if this is what you're focused on. So I was over there talking to him and Michael Giannis. Y'all were shooting the shit with Cassie and doing all of that. And you joined, but Abby, you're the one that filled out the form. So inside the system, it is Abigail. That's how you filled it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't know who Abigail was, and Braden wasn't on there. And so I actually never knew that y'all signed up until one day I'm like, are those the people from the parking lot in San Antonio? And that's when it all clicked on me. So you guys joined in the 5th class where we just onboarded the 21st class. So you guys have been there for a while now. Talk about kind of when the business started transitioning, because you came in with the mindset of you were going to be a dispo house 70-30 in the favor of the acquisitions. When did you guys really start seeing like traction with that model?
Well, and also just to start you off on that, Braden, and the reason it was all my information was, he was kind of finding this dispo groove, and we had some luck with, cold calling and whatnot. And then we were just struggling for me to be able to get those to the finish line on my own as well. And so when we met you guys and, and everything that you presented about, to you and everything, we were both kind of like, we had that whole idea, but also we were like, okay, this is what I need to strengthen my acquisition skills. And so that was still a little bit of the mindset while he was going to build things. And then, as we started to dive in and it grew, it kind of pulled me away, but it all happened the way that it was supposed to. And anyways, so you can go ahead and pick it up, Braden.
Yeah. And another thing, that San Antonio thing was honestly a blessing. Like, we got to meet you guys, we met Steve, and then meeting Michael Giannis too. I'm real good friends with him now, and he sells all of our sub 2 wraps in San Antonio. So it was just like the perfect meeting for us.
And it was such a spur of the moment, like, hey, we don't have anything to do this weekend. You want to go to this event,
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, let's just drive to San Antonio, a little 4-hour drive. Well, I think we even took the dogs and got an Airbnb because we didn't have time to get anyone to watch them. So
Right.
Yeah, Abby was like pinching me like after or during the meeting. She's like, you have to go talk to Steve, because that's why I came. I was like,
yeah.
okay, do it. And
he
then
gets real nervous in person, and I'm like, hey, and and that's kind of what I did with Cassie. And even though I was still a little bit nervous, I was like, you go talk to him. And I was like, we should also talk to them. And and then we saw y'all in the parking lot, and I was like, I guess we're just gonna have to quarter them. We tried to catch y'all, but anyways, yeah.
Well, you also got a little bit of insight in how much I'll say it's probably more me than Cassie, but both of us are introverts. Like, we can get up and we can do our thing on stage, and it's easy because I could just stare at a bunch of top of the heads and just say what I'm going to say. It's a lot harder when all of a sudden everybody starts approaching you and asking you questions and all this. And it's like, I always laugh because now I pay attention to it, where I start standing when people start approaching me and how many feet I back up. As people, it'll be like a solid like 15, 20 feet. I will be backing up, and eventually I'm like, Cassie, we have to leave. I can't handle it anymore. Like, there's too many people invading my space. We have to go. And I totally felt that in the parking lot. I was like such a fish out of water.
Yeah.
And it was still such a like, there was a teenager that approached us with her mom. And she wanted to join TU. I don't ever know what happened to them. I think the mom was pretty much like, you're crazy. I'm not paying $6,000 to join this group. But you guys came up. Like I said, I was trying to talk to Steve, and Aaron came out, and it was craziness. But it was a great opportunity. So moving forward, got into TU. Talk to me. Obviously, Abby, you said you were kind of coming in for the acquisitions.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of transition there to where you guys are today?
Yeah.
Well, the plan was like we needed dispo to foot the bill. So we needed to live. None of us had W-2 jobs or anything like that. Abby had left her part-time job after our second deal. So we knew that, without Brian and without his systems and everything, we needed something consistent. So dispo is like what we latched onto. and we started getting, consistent deals probably like a couple months after May.
Enough to where I didn't have time to try to do acquisitions anymore, which was kind of, eventually what we were hoping for. But anyways,
right. It was like, let's figure this out. Let's have it foot the bill, and then we can open up acquisitions. So in 2024, we ended up closing 21 deals. Like majority of them were outside of TU. We were still trying to figure everything out. Just get all the systems in place. And we were only in TU since September of last year, so not that long. I want to say like in December is where we really like figured things out and knew what we were doing and pushed really hard.
Found a groove.
Yeah, and in December we closed like 4 or 5 deals, I think, and then in January we did pretty well again. And in December we got to the point where we had like 6 or 7 active deals, so Abby and I couldn't juggle all of them at the same time. So we talked to John Allen. John is one of my good buddies from the REI group that we were in. He was brand new to the game too, so we were all like just trying to learn together. And I could see that he had this drive in him that he wanted to do whatever it took to make this a reality. And he was only 19. So I was like, dude, that's amazing. And I wish I had your drive and like clarity when I was 19, because I can only imagine where I'd be at right now. And so in December, we were like, okay, how about you join the team? We'll give you a split of every deal that you close. So in December, one of those deals was his that he was able to close. And then it kind of just, snowball effect after that. So January, we closed a bunch of deals. We just kept going. Year to date today, we've closed 55 deals and we have 9 pending. And out of those 55, 26 of them were with TU members.
Yeah, so we've already doubled our numbers from 2024. We were able to do 21 deals from May to December, so a little over 6 months. And we've surpassed that number by a lot. And again, 26 of them have already been with TU members, and it's just been an incredible difference.
Yeah, I want to say like in the past 3 months, we really figured out like our algorithm and this is what we have to do to get the deal to the finish line. And if we can do, X, Y, and Z within 72 hours, we will either have the deal assigned. And if not assigned, we will have feedback to either go drop the seller to a price that we can't accept or, let go of the deal. So now like we know, okay, when we accept a deal on Monday, by Wednesday, we need it assigned or we need to, pivot some way or another. So we're not wasting our time on deals that aren't necessarily deals, and we're, getting over things very quickly. So if we need a price reduction, we'll get that on day 3. We get as much feedback as we can to make sure that we have the ammo for our wholesale partners to go in there and get the reduction. And yeah, I mean, it's been fun. We've figured out our rhythm. We hired another guy a month ago. He was able to close 4 deals his first month and made over $5,000 his very first month with us. John just closed, I think he's like on 4 or 5 this month already. He just hit his first month over $10,000. So he's taken home $11,000 already till today of this month. And I think he's got like 2 more closings that are going to come this week. So he's going to maybe hit like 15, I think, by the end of the month.
That's great. And I have to say, I think a pivotal moment for you guys was bringing on John.
Yeah.
It says a lot about who John is in the fact that not only you guys talk about him in the group, but it's very common that I see John get tagged in a deal that you guys dispoed from the TU member.
Yeah.
Talking about, hey, shout out to Braden and Abby. But, man, John was incredible on this, how he navigated it, found the buyer, the communication, all of that. It says a lot to me when I know who an employee or whatever you want to call him. I know he's an independent contractor, but dispo person for you guys, I know his name because he's not showing up to the calls. He's not necessarily posting in the group like you guys do. Y'all are the owners. You're building the brand. But I know who John is. I even know who Luke is at this point. I mean, I love the culture that you guys are building there. And the thing that really stood out to me is you saw something in John. It wasn't necessarily a skill set. It was the fact that he had this energy and this drive about him that really stood out to you. That was like, hey, we could show you the skills. We could show you how to work in the systems and this and that. But I just love what you bring to the table from an energy perspective.
Yeah.
I think that's extremely important for people that are, always wanting to grow their business and start hiring and delegating things out. That's impressive. And then on the deals that you're closing, are all of those JV deals, or have you acquired some this year on your own?
We've had like a handful that have come in. Like maybe I think Tony called me on one. Tony, another TU member, like he'll shoot me a lead here and there, and I'll go, call the seller if I've got some time. And we've locked up a couple like that. And then
we've had a lot of luck
ways,
price dropping too, jumping in to help on that aspect, and having a new face to have to tell them, your seller that you're unfortunately the number that I thought it was going to work at is no longer working because of X, Y, and Z. And we've had some success helping people out there and just really building a lot of trust with partners. Has kind of been
realistically. I mean, you're looking at 8 to 12 deals a month on average. I know it's increasing as we speak, but just on JV deals.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just running the dispositions, and it's so funny because every time I bring on a new class, we have to talk about the hedgehog concept. And every time I talk about the hedgehog concept, I see eyes glaze over, and then it's like, I'm not just going to be a wholesaler. I'll totally flip a house if I need to. I'll do a sub 2. I'll do seller finance. You guys are like the ultimate hedgehogs in the fact that it's like, we're just going to dispo. We're just going to be like really good at it. And we'll worry about acquisitions later on and we'll expand. But like primarily we're focused on just being really great at dispositions. And it's so funny because it started off with, we just want to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be able to eat. Can I eat, pay my bills? And now all of a sudden it's like, dude, I mean, you posted a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it's like 6-figure month. There are $200,000 in assignments already in queue. Some of those have closed. I mean, it's incredible to see that growth. How much of that do you think is just because that's where you're focused on day in and day out?
I think a lot of it goes to that, to be honest. So again, like he dives in, all the way, and I've kind of, I struggled with the concept, and I was, well, what if we tried this here? And what if we, kind of put multiple eggs in multiple baskets? And, and he really kept us on track, reminding like, if we can figure this out and get really, really good hedgehog concept on dispo. And I really think it did a lot, and it focused us to be able to build a lot of integrity in the business, a lot of processes to help us be able to be just extremely reliable and consistent. In my opinion, yeah.
We've got our formula down now, and that's what matters. Like once I figured that out, we were able to grow. We've hired another person. I now have time to go network as much as possible. So I'm constantly like joining different Zoom groups and meet, we're going to Houston on Thursday to go to a wholesaling event, just like different things. We go to Texas Tuesday every Tuesday, first of the month. We just try to get our name out there as much as possible, because now it's like, I know what I know and I know what we can do. So I don't feel like I might fuck something up or something. If we can't sell your deal, it's not our fault. There's a acquisitions problem there, and we will conquer that problem and get you feedback to go, figure it out. And now what we're focused on is like making our process as smooth as possible. So, we've hired a TC within the past month. We've got her up and running, just like doing things to make life easier on me and Abby. Because right now our last month was wild. I mean, I'm getting called nonstop every day because, a deal is trying to blow up in whatever way. And I'm just having to, I felt like a fireman every morning. I was putting on a fireman suit and just putting fires out all damn day. But now, like with the process, the more that we grow, I think the more deals that we'll be able to take on and just like, more successful.
Yeah. But I mean, and to touch on your point again, I mean, I was like, he's talking about this concept, let's, listen to this. And that really allowed us it made an extreme difference. He was like, it reminded him like, no, okay, yeah, put our head down, continue. Like, this is what we need to work on, focus here. And, and then, kind of pulled me from acquisitions a little bit. And we were like, this is what we're going to do. And the hedgehog concept made such an immense difference.
Let's talk about, as a dispo house, I guess that's an official term now.
Yeah.
I feel like we've just started saying it over the past month, but okay, dispo house. Talk about the amount of deals that get sent to you that you then have to vet out and say, that's not a deal, or yes, we'll take this on. And for the people that want to work with you, how can they present the information correctly and better for you where their deals you say yes to more often than say no? Because I'm assuming you're saying no to a lot more deals than you're saying yes to.
Oh yeah,
I'd say just like taking our advice. When we let why it's not a deal. Really taking that to heart and not personally. Not like you did a bad job doing one thing or the other. It's just the numbers are what they are. The market is what it is, and we'll provide you facts and information to be able to help you strengthen your skills so that, when you are in the middle of that contract, you're able to, continue to make sure that you're getting the landing in the web, as Cassie would say, more consistently, and you're not having to go back so many times and able to trust your gut.
Yeah. That's one reason I love TU, because there's been, I can't tell you, out of those 26 deals that we did with TU members, a lot of them were their very first wholesale deal. And like after we closed the deal, they're like, we could have never done this without you. And now that's created like this lifelong bond that we have together where they know and they can trust us to send, their leads or their deals, and we can give honest feedback to them. And they, like Abby said, they don't take it personally, because that's one thing that I hate to see is I'll give feedback, based on what I see in the deal. And then for whatever reason, they don't like the feedback. And then I see it posted by another dispo company. I'm like,
or they start shopping it around themselves, and which
that's exactly where I was going to take this, which is, hey, to all the TU members listening, if you send a deal to Braden and Abby and they say no, you probably shouldn't waste Nicolo's time and the Bevan's time and everyone else inside the group going, could you move this deal? And here's the thing. I think sometimes people get lost because, like you said, a lot of times it is someone's first deal. They're desperate. They're where you were, right? Where it's like, we got to pay the bills. We got to eat, right? But what you're saying more often than not, at least this is how I always felt when people brought us a JV deal, and I still feel this way. I'm not telling you that we can't sell the deal. What I'm saying is that based off the numbers, that the odds of us moving the deal are very low, and it's not what we should be focusing on. We should be, like you said, in the web where we know end buyers are going to do this, because there's always a chance. If you do this long enough, you're eventually going to dispo a deal that you probably shouldn't have sold.
Right.
An end buyer's probably going to buy it at a price that he shouldn't have bought it.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, on some of your early deals, probably wasn't a deal, right? I mean, it's like maybe that end buyer didn't know what they were doing. Maybe they saw a comp, and it's like, you shouldn't be using that as a comp, but they used it and they bought your deal. That doesn't mean that you did a good job. In fact, that means you did a bad job, because what makes your business successful is the fact that your end buyers want to buy deal after deal after deal, not that one deal.
Yeah.
And so I love the fact that you brought that up, and it's like, hey, let's not just waste everybody's time.
Yeah, that part's super important to me because our buyers, they trust us because they want good deals. And I love when a buyer like tells me they just finished their flip and they just sold it and made X amount of dollars on the flip because they trusted what we said, and now they're ready for another deal.
Yeah.
And it matters a lot to make sure that you're not, screwing people over and selling stuff that shouldn't be sold.
Yeah.
Now, we got this guy that just dropped the emojis, and I think there's a story that involves Mr. Hyro. I'll let you guys take it away on this deal that just closed. Since we had to wait a month to do this interview, let's go ahead and let's hear the story behind what happened here with Hyro's deal.
Yeah, there was a lot of anticipation building around that one.
Yeah, that one was a roller coaster. I mean, like, from the day that he sent it to us to the day that it closed, like, so many bumps in the road. But so he sent it to us. He said, yo, I got this amazing lead. I haven't locked it up yet, but I know it's an amazing deal. So we all comp it. And so he sends it to us. We comp it. And on PropStream, like, what did you say, Abby? There was like 15 comps within.
Yeah, it's in this little pocket of Houston where there's just, I mean, there were so many sold properties within the last year. I mean, a quarter mile populated, I think like 10, half a mile gave me like 15 different comps to be able to use. But it's in this little pocket where it's like, some properties are right next to commercial, but then there's like this neighborhood over here. But then, this one house has been flipped into this commercial building. And so it's kind of catty corner from this other. And I mean, it was ridiculously hard to comp. Hyro came in and, let us know, exactly how much he thought that we'd be able to get it for. And it was just, we really thought it was the strong lead and the numbers were there. And, when we looked at it and Braden was like, I think there might be more to be able to find. I think maybe there's more on the bone that we might be able to get more meat. And so I tried to just channel my inner Cassie and, I got like a notepad. It took me like 2 hours just because everything was this one was like catty corner from a commercial building, but it was in this neighborhood. And so with there being so many comps, I was able to kind of like find a few. And I mean, I really had to do a lot. I was like writing them all down, trying to pick out the differences, see which one are going to be my true comps to really give me an idea if we were right on this estimation, that it was a little bit higher than what he was thinking. So I was able to find about 50 grand more worth value. And that was super exciting. We were still the biggest one yet. So I was still kind of like, am I right? Am I overestimating here? Am I, over just wanting too much at this point? And, and then we just decided to trust my gut because I was like, I swear it's there. These are the numbers. This is, I think Cassie would agree because that's what I always default to. And, anyways, and then he kind of,
so he sent it over at, I think he had it like, he was thinking he could get it at 170, something like that. He didn't have anybody that he trusted to go over there and get the contract signed. And we've all dealt with, sending a notary over and they can't get the contract signed for whatever reason. They don't know what they're having signed. And when a seller asks a question, they don't have an objection. So, it's funny, actually, Max Garcia, which is another TU member, Hyro had him go over there. So we originally had him at 170, the seller at 170. Max went over there and he got him down to 160. And he got the contract signed. So immediately right off the bat, we had a 10K reduction, which is awesome. We quick comp it. We see that there's properties selling for like high 400s in the area. And then that's when I was like, okay, Abby, I need you to bust your ass and, put this thing down to the nitty gritty. And she's like, she does all of her comps and everything. She thinks we can sell it for 270. Mind you, we have it at 160. So at that point, we're like, you know what? I've never sold a deal with that much meat on the bone. So we're over here thinking like, you know, we shouldn't get greedy. We shouldn't post it that high. And then, you know, somebody calls the seller and they tell them what's going on. And then we blow up the whole deal, you know, all of that. So we gave Hyro all of our feedback and everything. And what we decided on was to send it out at 270. So we went with Abby's gut. But he was like, only send it to your VIP buyers. I don't want this thing posted online anywhere, you know, which was understandable. So we send it out to our guys. I think like 5 guys within 30 minutes. 3 of them want to walk it. So one of them goes out there. He's like, oh, I really like this thing. You know, can you guys do 260? And we're like, holy shit. Like, this is real.
I was like, oh, I was right.
Yeah. Because Hyro's like, yo, let's just post it at 230, you know, quick deal. Let's get it done. Let's not be greedy. And after Abby did that, I was like, nah, man, we're posting this at 270. So we posted at 270. Dude wants it at 260. Throughout the weekend, he does his comps and analysis and all this shit. And then on Monday, he comes back and he's like, well, really, I need it at 230. Can you guys do 230? And you know, we bring it back to Hyro, and he's like, let's just get it done. You know, 230 will work.
Still a killer deal. I mean,
so we tell the buyer, okay, let's do it. 230, we'll get it done. And their whole plan was to knock it down and build like this duplex on top of, you know, the current.
There were a lot of properties in the area that had the mother-in-law suite in the back. And so,
yeah, so they're like, okay, that's what we want to do. We need to get the survey back. Once the survey's been approved and it's confirmed, you know, what it says on the CAD, then we're ready to go.
So, I double-checked everything. I made sure I had all my information right.
So one thing that we never really do is send out assignments with contingencies on them.
Right.
And in this spot we did because we didn't want to blast it out and then somebody call the seller. So we told them, okay, we can do that. Once the survey comes back, your money, you know, your EMD becomes hard, you know, all of that. Survey comes back and it takes a week and a half to get this survey back. And we're on our clock, or on our 30-day close clock. So a week and a half wasted. We get the survey back and it's like 700 square feet smaller than what CAD says. So the buyer's like, oh, well, let me talk this over with my partner, blah, blah, blah. A day later, they're like, oh, we're going to need this in the low hundreds because of this. You know, we're going to have to look at it as a flip, all of this. And I'm like, okay. I was like, we'll get back to you. So we hang up that phone call. I get on the phone with John. I'm like, dude, blast this thing. We can make more than that. Do not put it on investor lift though. Only send it to our VIP buyers. So we send it out, and you know, less than a day, we get one of our guys to go out there, and he wants it at 250. So we call the first buyers and we tell them, you know, we're good. We don't want that price reduction. You can have your earnest money back. We got another buyer. We assign it to our new buyer. He puts in EMD same day. In the meantime, titles finally got everything together and they're ready to close. So we get the new assignment in there. We've got 14 days to close. We set our closing date, and you know, time goes on, like 4 days. And we're 10 days out from closing. The buyer calls me and he's like, oh, just so you know, I'm going back to Mexico to get my visa renewed the same or 2 days before closing. You know, so sometimes they hold my passport hostage for like a week or two, and I can't come back to close, you know, all of this stuff. And so I'm like, okay, but we will figure out a way to close this one way or another. So I called Hannah. You know, that's our title company, Independent Texas Title in Texas. They're legit the best title company to work with in Texas. And she, you know, told me that we can use an online notary, no problem, if he has an ID. And of course, homeboy doesn't have an ID. He has his passport. So he's being held hostage in Mexico. by, the border patrol and everything, waiting to get his ID back. In the meantime, so since it's a $90,000 fee, we're like, okay, we need to double close on this. So we're getting double closing paperwork figured out. Then the lender for the buyer hits up Hannah and she's like, hey, our lender doesn't allow double close pass-through lending. So no pass-through funding, you can't use their funds to close it, all that good stuff. So, and this is 7 days out from the closing. So then I'm scrambling, trying to find somebody to fund the double closing. So eventually I figure out that Ryan and Hannah, they had a little bit of cash sitting aside and they were like, okay, we can do it for you. So another reason why to use Hannah for a title. She's amazing and they can fund your double closes. So we get that all set up, and 3 days before closing, the lender calls title and they're like, oh, we don't have a survey. We need a survey to close. So I'm like, oh, that should be easy. So I call the old buyer and I'm like, hey, can we get a survey? And they're like, no, we're not giving it to you unless you pay us the $800 that we were out of pocket on the survey. I'm like, bro, we held this thing for you for over a week, worked with you, everything. You got your earnest money back. The least you can do is give us this damn survey. And, things go on. We eventually get the survey. Thank God. I send it in the title. And, we're thinking, okay, and now we're finally here. We're going to get this thing closed. So on Tuesday of last week, we're all signing our HUDs and everything. Hyro's all signing with us. We get our portion signed. And then Hannah calls me and she's like, hey, the seller just got into a car accident on the way to meet the notary.
No way.
He's like, I think he's okay.
Yeah.
But they're towing his car right now.
Yeah. So the buyer's already signed his shit. He's already funded the whole thing. And we've already signed our portion.
Right.
But the seller, he hasn't signed.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully, the very next day, the notary went out to the seller's house and he signed. And it wasn't, like a BS car accident. He actually got into a car accident. He's okay. Everything was good.
I was sweating there for a second, but yeah.
So what? You guys ended up making something like 85,000, something like that?
Yeah, 85 after the double closing fees.
Yep.
That is a crazy story. And while you're telling the story about making 85,000 on one deal, this comment came through. Are people still making money from wholesaling with the market being this poop? So I'll let you guys answer it. I answer it all the time. So what do you guys think about what's happening in the market right now? Are we still making money?
Yeah, I mean, the market sucks. The market sucks right now, but we're doing the most deals that we've ever done. I think on this month we're set to close like 14 at the end of the month. So it all depends on you as an acquisition specialist, what leads you're targeting, what your closing method is. It should be the closer's formula.
Regardless if the market's good or bad, people are always going to have some reason they need to buy or sell.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing right here. I feel like my biggest problem is cold calling and communicating with sellers and comping. Well, here's the thing. Everyone sucks at comping. I mean, it just takes time. I mean, Abby just gave an example. They're literally dispoing deals every single day. This one deal right here where they made 80,000 took her 2 hours to comp. I mean, it just takes time sometimes. Sometimes it's like, dude, Houston, Texas. There are no zoning regulations in Houston. You can have commercial right next to residential, right next to industrial. And it's like, what am I comping next to? Like, Houston is crazy like that. The issue here is that you're cold calling. That takes time. It takes time to learn how to talk to sellers, and you're mining for leads. That's what you're doing. And then after you find one, now you have to be able to close it. Whereas for us inside of TU, what we're actually doing, the reason why they're able to do 26 deals this year with just TU members in 2 states, by the way, that's it, Texas and Florida.
Yep.
The reason why is because TU members are not mining for leads. We are constantly, we know we're talking to someone that has to sell a house. And so then we're ciphering through those to find the ones that are motivated enough to sell for a discount. And that's why we're able to move efficiently. And then on the dispo, go to someone like Braden and Abby, and you can still get 70% of your deal. They take 30. I mean, these are the reasons why it's important to be a part of something like this. And it's why it's so great to have you guys and the other dispo teams inside of TU. And not to beat you up, Kelvisions, but here's the thing. You might not be made for acquisitions, and it might be dispo where you find your superpower, just like Braden and Abby. I mean, Abby was talking about it. Like, she was cold calling. It was not fun. She did not like it. However, when I hear them talk about dispositions, I have yet to hear them say one negative thing about dispo.
There are a lot of people that don't, but we do.
So I feel like everyone should sit back and really think about, like, is this something I want to do? And where's my skill set? And where do I want to develop that skill set? And that's what you guys did. And you did it so rapidly, and then focused on it and didn't give up on it. Because I think a lot of people early on would have looked at it and been like, well, maybe this isn't, we're giving up a big piece of the pie. I also thought that was genius when y'all did it. You know, when you said, hey, we're just going to go out and we're going to be the best split on a JV deal. And immediately, what did that do? It made everybody want to go to you guys.
Our submissions went up. Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you guys see the rest of the year, and what are your goals moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, goals, I'm trying to not automate like as an AI, but just automate everything to the point where I'm not involved in every day-to-day aspect of the deal. So I'm not having to handle the TC. I'm not having to, just everything that comes with the dispo deal. So I want to get it to a point where I can step away, and Abby has already stepped away and started the acquisitions. But in January, I want to get to the point where I can step away and I can start doing some acquisitions as well. We've got a specific kind of thing that we're going to be targeting, the tax delinquent leads. We're going to be doing like 2 years delinquent and solving title issues and stuff like that, because, as many deals that we have done, every single deal you learn something new, whether it's an easy deal or a sub 2 deal that's facing pre-foreclosure or something like that, we learn something every single time we do a deal. So I want to get to the point where I can solve really big title issues to get really big paydays.
Yeah, we'd like to continue to build the dispo business and really get it, just continue to scale it, get to a point where we've got some in-house deals as well. And we're not only dispoing JV deals. That's kind of the main goal right now, for the rest of the year, maybe the beginning of 2026, is really building in that manner, being able to just continue to sharpen our skills and build Mr. House dispo, and branch off a little if we can, and just continue to make it this well-rounded wholesale business. We really hedgehog concept, put our head down for dispo for so long, and now we feel more confident than we really ever thought we were going to be. So we feel very capable at this point to really be able to do that.
Well, there was a rumor going around that you were going to add another state to Texas and Florida. Did you guys decide against that, or is that in the works?
It could be in the works. As of right now, I've kind of put it off. There's enough business in Texas and Florida. There really is. And even with Nico and the crew, there's enough business for both of us to be successful here. Yeah. So what we pride ourselves in is like bringing you a quality service and showing you the feedback on why your deal does not work, and
really being knowledgeable about our areas.
Yeah, and like knowing, like when you send me a deal in Waco, Texas, I know who to call in 5 minutes to get feedback or lock it up. So when you open up to different areas that you're not as familiar with, it just brings in, different ways that, I don't know.
Yeah, there was also a lot, again, we just got a TC going. We were really having to be all hands on deck. So we were really nervous we hone in on the service so much. We were really scared to let that fall by trying to be able to have so many more deals and be able to take on another state. And we wanted to be able to scale at the right pace to make sure that this service that we preach and that we've really honed in on and tried to make the priority doesn't slip at the same time. So we would love, we've got the TC going. We're able to really delegate now. It's going to give us more time to be able to do that too, as we continue to grow and get more, another agent or two, and have everyone be really balanced to keep that standard, because we feel like it's one of the most important things about Mr. House, in our opinion, is just that standard and service we're able to keep and provide. And so
when y'all made the post inside the group saying, hey, what's the next state that we should expand to? It was funny because I read it and I was like, I don't know if that's the move that I want you guys to make. Just because what you're saying. I mean, one, Texas is the best state for wholesaling, hands down. I mean, we've done it in all 50 states. It's not just because I live here. We're doing BPL. I mean, and it's full nationwide. I mean, we get all the West Virginia leads and the Wyoming leads and all the bullshit that everybody bitches about. All right. We get them too. But I have I love my Google Maps. So I've got the one with the titanium members. I got one for every deal that we close. And so once a week I go in there and I'm like, all right, what deals did we close? And I go add all the deals. And it's hilarious. It's like Texas, next deal, Ohio, next deal, Texas, next deal, Florida, next deal, Texas. It's like every other deal is Texas.
Yeah.
Even though we're not trying to. I mean, it's that place. And in Florida, as much as Florida is struggling right now because of the hurricanes and everything that's going on in the market, it's still, it's always going to be a really good market. Mm-hmm. And
absolutely.
But hands down to me, Texas is the one. Plus, just y'all's ability to go to things like Texas Tuesdays and the meetups and stuff like that, and getting your name out there. Because, and I told this to someone the other day, the thing about dispo is that just because you have a buyer today in August of 2025 does not mean that guy is still going to be in business in August of 2026.
Mm-hmm.
You constantly have to be finding the new buyers that are coming in that are hungry enough to buy from the wholesalers.
Yep.
So you're constantly just building your name and building your brand. I think you guys are doing an incredible job on that. So I know you guys have said a lot of great things about TU, but Nick would absolutely kill me if I didn't ask. So what would you guys say to someone that wants to or is on the fence about joining TU?
Get off the fence, jump over, get in. No, I mean, it was such honestly, and just without even, y'all's trainings are just irreplaceable, but the community is just the biggest. I mean, we've leaned on, we've found such good relationship. I mean, the Bevins were actually just really good personal friends at the, we've got a good work relationship, but at the same time, I mean, and not just them, I mean, other people in the group, it's just it's a great group of people. It's really easy to lean on, and it's really, in my opinion, it was really hard to get into the industry and not really have any, friends, or, I've kind of got my dad to talk about this kind of thing with, but like friends and family, and it just being such a different view. And so being able to have that community to talk about it and have those things in common, and just to kind of keep the momentum and the, strive. I mean, I think it's just absolutely irreplaceable and like a perfect place to be if you really want to get into it and make it a thing for yourself and continue on that journey.
Yeah. Nothing beats the community. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what?
But still.
What I have to say to you guys, y'all are a huge part of what this community has become. me and Cassie, we get a lot of credit for things that, sure, we started TU, laid some groundwork, but people like you coming in and helping other members close their first deals, get deals across the finish line that otherwise could have never done. Even the subtle little nuances of, hey, I submitted a deal to Braden and Abby, and they told me why it wasn't a good deal. So then that led to the next deal getting under contract where it was a good deal. Those things are so important to what TU has become. And without guys like you, we're nothing more than a bunch of talking heads and course, right? I mean, yeah, the education's good, but let's be honest. At this point, if you don't know what the closer's formula is, or if you don't know what the web formula is, that just means you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel. We give all of that away, right? That's not what you're coming to TU for. You're coming for the connection to someone like Braden and Abby, to truly be able to do deals with them and to get to hang out with us on a daily basis where you can actually develop that relationship. Nick says it on every single orientation. He met Sima, his wife, in a group like TU. I mean, he's like, I'm partners with RJ and Cassie because I went to an event to learn how to wholesale, and now we're business partners. We're doing deals together. You guys probably have JV partners that you feel like are business partners. Mm-hmm. It's like, we're not formally on an LLC, but shit, you just made $85,000 with Hyro. I mean, some businesses never even make $85,000. I mean, that's damn near like a partnership. So, ultimately, from a parking lot introduction at an event with 40 people to where you guys are now and seeing y'all's growth, I couldn't be more proud of y'all. Y'all are people that are the reason why me and Cassie want to do this. Seeing y'all go out and make the kind of money that y'all are making, and then hearing y'all's story from what your life looked like. And I know we weren't all a part of that. You already had it, but just knowing that we're a part of where you are today and getting you to the next level and just getting to know you guys, it's been an honor. And you guys made me so damn proud to wear this shirt and to know you guys. I'm still waiting on my Mr. House shirt. I don't have one. I mean, I ship you guys enough shit. By the way, Abby, go ahead and grab the trophy behind you.
Oh, so my big one.
Oh, you got the belt too.
Oh, we got them all here. Some daily inspiration.
Yeah. So these guys we have challenges inside of TU. Y'all are the first 2-time winners of challenges, right? Mm-hmm. And Braden is officially, Braden and Abby, but it does it say Mr. House or does it say Braden on it? It does say
Braden, but it's all right.
It's an individual competition. But Braden is the first person that I've officially sent a wrestling belt to, which you guys know I collect them back here. We finally just decided that, hey, we can't do the belts for everybody. So this is actually going to be a traveling trophy. So let's see, where did y'all get?
Oh, we went up top. First one.
So the next challenge that we have, we'll ship that trophy to the next winner, and then they'll get their name put on, and it's basically going to be TU's Stanley Cup. So
the plan is to just fill this whole row.
You're gonna try to be the early dynasty where you just put them up back to back to back. I love it.
Yep.
Oh man.
Overall, guys, just so proud of y'all, and thank y'all for what y'all bring to TU, and also just what you have done for other members. It's been incredible. So, any final thoughts from you guys before we hop off here?
I mean, we appreciate y'all, laying the path and, being just like-minded people and, allowing us to be able to jump in and kind of give our portion back as much as we've taken from y'all. We love to be able to share and do that kind of thing. Braden, I think you wanted to drop a little little split change that might go on that we kind of feel
there you go.
we've earned a little bit.
I want to say, like, we wouldn't be here without you.
Okay.
And, you know, you tried to run away from us at the parking lot and get to your car, but we tracked you down and we followed you here. And now, you know, when we were sitting in those seats and thinking, like, this could be us and we could turn this into a reality, you guys have allowed that. And this really has turned into, like, something that we'll probably do for the rest of our lives. And it's just amazing to know, like, just from that one random event to now being where we are now, it's mind blowing. And I can't appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah. Advice to everybody else. I mean, just like jump any opportunity you can, just be there, go, you know, get in front of as much stuff as you can. You never know when some random event that you didn't plan to go to puts you in front of, you know, an opportunity to meet someone that's going to help you figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life and put you on a path and in a community.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But that being said, for us to continue growing and for us to continue being successful and providing as much value as we do to you guys, the wholesalers, we do need to up our fee. And we're not doing no 50-50 or anything crazy.
We're going to reverse the 30-70. No, I'm just kidding.
We're going to have to bump it up to 60-40. And that's just so we can keep our systems in place and we can keep, you know, providing you as much value as we do. And I think everybody will appreciate that and recognize that we deserve that. I don't think there will be any backlash there. But, yeah, I figured we would drop that here.
Well, first of all, I thought y'all were absolutely batshit crazy for the 70-30. You know, you did the whole Walmart thing. You know, it's like, we'll just undercut the shit out of everybody and get all the deals. And then once we got them hooked, we'll raise the price. That's what you're doing. You earned it, though. And at the end of the day, listen, even at 60-40, people come to me and they're like, hey, will you do this for 60-40? I'm like, no, 50-50, bro.
Yeah. I
don't need your deal. Like, I love you, but I got to eat. So I'm like, it's 50-50. I'm not going to go do it unless that's what I get.
Yep.
And you guys are setting your price. It is what it is. If people don't like it, I mean, go dispo your own deal.
Yeah.
That's it.
And we really feel like we can bring a lot of value. Like this whole situation where I, you know, comp the shit out. I mean, if there's more money there to find, we'll find it. We'll figure it out. We'll go through lender after lender. I mean, we'll get it done. So we really, you know, feel like we can justify it.
You can
help everyone.
And by the way, Tyler said if TJ cries, then Mr. Dispo gets line 2. So for one, I'm curious if Tyler is delusional right now. My name's RJ and they're Mr. House. So he did correct it with the asterisk right here. But Tyler, no, I was going to cry until you put the worst comment ever. So at this point, I'm not going to cry anymore. But no, listen, the 60-40 split, I think, is more than fair. I think you guys earned it. And to be honest with you, as you guys grow, you're going to see that there will probably be a day in the future where that might even have to increase.
Yeah.
You know, as more admin comes along, the cost of the softwares, right? There's going to be changes as AI gets incorporated more. Mm-hmm. We're going to see dispo softwares start getting away from the subscription model, and they're going to start being a per deal charge, right? Where you're going to look at it and say, if you want me to sell your $10,000 assignment deal and I have to invest $500 to do this, then I'm not going to do it. Or, hey, I've got a known buyer, but I had to invest X amount of dollars to have these known buyers. I deserve a higher spread. So I foresee that going up probably in the future again, but just do what you did this time. Earn it.
Yeah.
Go out and prove it, and then people will be like, hey, they get my deal sold in 3 days. That's what people want. Communication and security, which you guys have offered. So appreciate it. everybody that's watching, do me a favor so we can get Braden and Abby out there to as many people as possible. Like today's video. They didn't have to do this. They came on here. They shared their entire journey with you guys. And like I said, many, many times, super proud of you guys. Thank you all for being a huge part of what makes TU so special. Show some love. Like today's video. See you guys tomorrow.